So I'm going to hook the battery back up. I think I've hooked everything back up that's mechanical, needed to run the thing. I've got to put antifreeze in, and then I'm going to try to start it up. Alright, so we're back at it. Welcome back to TWC Projects. We're working on the Ford Fusion that took a beating by a deer. In the last video you saw my pulling everything apart. I've put a couple new parts on since then, I think. I don't know if I had those on there yet, but the new hinges, got those on each side. And I've made the repair to this guy right here. Which was completely chopped off, so I had to get another wire and patch it all in. I've got a few pictures I'll show you of that. I'll throw those up on the screen. But the main thing we've got to get on now, which is what we've been waiting for, is the replacement manifold, intake manifold. Got some new gaskets to go on that, and all that needs to go on here, and hook all these hoses and wires all back up. Hopefully I can figure out where they all go. I think the way they're set up, I should be able to figure that out. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll have time. I've probably just got an hour or two tonight to work on this, but then I'll get the whole front end radiator bracket in place, and hopefully get the radiator hooked back up, fluid in it, hook the battery back up, and see if we can get it started and running before we put all the rest of the fascia back in place. So that's what we're up to today. So let's get started. So these are near impossible to get to. Don't even know if I can show you, but there is a bolt up in there, a bolt here. And there's another one screw up in here, which I didn't know about originally. I'm going to show you how I learned this. So I did this one. I've got this one in now. And see how there's a screw up here? So I wanted to figure out how the heck to do that without taking the whole fender off. The right way to do it is to take the fender off, but you know, I tried to take a shortcut, so it probably took longer. I really just didn't want to mess with the fender. There was some damage here already from the crash. This is all, both of these arms were completely bent, and I didn't even know how to bend them back, so I bought two new ones. But anyway, so I'm going to get in there and get both of those loosened up. Let's first start by taking this trim piece off here, so I can get that top screw out as well, and then we'll go from there and see what happens. Alright, so a little helpful hint here for putting these back in. I learned, get it in place first, make sure your holes are look right, they're lined up. Tighten this guy down. Put the front one in first, tighten that one down, again making sure your hole is there. And then I was able to come in from the back and from this side. Luckily I have long enough fingers to get that screw down in there, and I just got it started so that the threads are in there right. Then I was able to fit this little ratchet in there and tighten that one down. So when you're doing this, you know, of course, take this piece off first, take the screw off first, get those out, and of course pull this up out of the way too, so you can get in here and work around. If it's down, it's blocking the range of your ratchet. So I thought I'd just show you that, since if you're taking one of these apart, that you can do that without taking your whole fender off. So I told you about the fender in the box. Well, this fender right here, or not fender, sorry, the front bumper. That whole thing was folded up into 3 pieces and was in that box. Pretty crazy, right? I don't know how they do it, but anyway, I just left it in the house where it was warm, and it kind of unfolded on its own, and now it's like that. So it seems, it's fairly rigid now. I was kind of surprised. I just couldn't believe that fit in there, so I wanted to show you that before I went any further. All right, so that looks pretty good. I've got the intake manifold back on, and the airflow throttle body, I guess, if you call it that. Everything's clipped in, hooked up, snapped down. I like that all these wires were fitted the way they were, so that that's what made me realize I put this on incorrectly. But everything else went right back into place nicely. I don't think I have anything left unconnected. Everything's snapped back in place. So now it's just a matter of getting the whole radiator support housing in here, getting the radiator in, and the air conditioning condenser and fan. Once I get all that hooked up, then get the fluid in it, see if we can get the thing to start, hook the battery back up. So let's keep going. All right, so this thing is starting to take shape, starting to look like something. We've got the radiator housing support back in place, and a lot of the mechanisms hooked up. But now comes the fun part, the hardest part. Trying to figure out how to get that radiator down in there and then get it all tightened back in. So I think that's like the worst of this whole project. If I get through that, I'm gonna feel pretty good. This went real well. Went better than I thought it would as far as putting it back on. I was just so worried I'd forget where things went, but fortunately the way the wiring all is laid out and everything is kind of molded to fit, it was very obvious where it went, so that was good. And presumably everything works perfectly fine. I think it does. I think it was just that big hole that was causing the problem. So this is certainly looking better than when I started taking it apart, because this was all completely demolished and gone. This is just fragments and junk everywhere and a lot of bent pieces, so feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I should have hooked that all up first. The radiator to the housing and then drop the whole housing down in. I did not know. Probably should have looked to see if there's a YouTube video out there on it already. Let's see how much further we can go here before I give up. the last thing I wanted to make sure I had was these sensors on here and the one down below, because I think those are airbag sensors. So I'm going to hook the battery back up. I think I've hooked everything back up that's mechanical, needed to run the thing. I've got to put antifreeze in, and then I'm going to try to start it up. Hopefully everything runs as it should and I haven't missed anything. Obviously the air conditioning won't work. I'll have to deal with that at another time, to put the Freon stuff back in, or whatever they put in there, coolant for that, and get that working again another time. But it's middle of winter, so, or beginning of winter, so don't need to worry about that at the moment. But I do need to make sure that everything else is working fine. So let's go ahead and get some coolant in this thing and go from there. So one other thing I wanted to mention, what I didn't record was the last 2 hours or whatever I spent fussing with trying to get these, the radiator. This is from the old one, but trying to get these connected on to the radiator. They just, because the pieces had been bent, just getting the threads lined up, I ended up cross-threading one of them, which I did not want to do, and so I had to go out and buy a tap that would fit this, which is basically a 3/8 18 thread. And so that took, a good hour or more, just going to 3 different places trying to find somebody who had one that would work. But now I have it. I actually bought a kit of a few of these. So the other thing was the little rubber bushing that was on here had come off, and I always talk about the Harbor Freight having these on hand. So fortunately I had a rubber bushing in this kit on hand that fit on the end of this to go into the radiator. So that's good. I guess that was just the main thing I want to make sure I shared with you, because I did not show you all that frustration in that time I spent, but it was very frustrating. But I've got everything on, connected up now, and I think we're going to be in good shape. All right, let's see what happens. Sounding good. I think we got it. Sounding really good. Coolant's looking okay so far. We'll watch for leaks, I guess. That's a really good sign. A really good sign. This has been a fantastic car, so that's why we wanted to try to save it. Well, definitely got to do a little bit more, but I think I'm at a good place to end this video. So I guess I'll shut it off and then we'll wrap up. Really happy that it's running again, because it was not running when we brought it in here. So very exciting. Way to finally end this video. Well, that feels good. I'm not a mechanic, so I definitely know, I know a little bit about cars. I understood enough, I probably didn't tell you about torquing the intake manifold and replacing gaskets and things like that are I definitely know, I know enough. I know enough to be working on a car, I guess, but I'm certainly not a mechanic. But I'm very excited that this is working so far. I think I probably need to do, I've got a thing that I can use to pressurize and make sure that there aren't any leaks. So far I'm not seeing anything, but it probably needs to run for a little bit. But exciting news. So in the first video, we stripped it down, figured out what parts we needed, went out and got them. In this video, we got the parts, all the mechanical parts, the motor parts in and running, and a little bit of the structural part. And next video will be putting the whole front end on, hooking up all the lights, and hopefully that will be it. Hopefully it'll be a 3-part series here. Well, and then maybe a follow-up for the once the that ugly blue hood gets painted and the black bumper gets painted. Once that stuff's all painted up, then that'll probably be my final wrap-up video, so you guys can see how this project turned out. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm very happy because this has just been a long, drawn out. It took a while. My United States Post Office, unfortunately, shipped my manifold somewhere and shipped it somewhere else, shipped it back, and then shipped it somewhere else again. And anyway, instead of getting it on a Wednesday of one week, I got it Wednesday the following week. So, but I've got it. It's in. I'm excited. And hopefully the radiator's good. I think it is. It seems like it's fine. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. You know, this is definitely a big fixing one, right? So I'm always saying create things and fix things and enjoy God's creation all around you. You know, I'm not so much enjoying the creation quite as much to doing this project because I'm half indoors, half outdoors, but it's still great, and I'm very pleased to get this far along with this car. So stay tuned. Hopefully next week or shortly, very soon, I'll have it all put back together, and you can see me assembling the rest of it. So thanks again for watching. Until next time, have a fantastic week, and we'll see you soon.